Hello, everybody. We are the Geeks and Degenerates, and we're ending our ass-kicking week with Wonder Woman. With me, as always, is John, and Seb is back again. And yeah, we are aware that we're three guys talking about a female-led movie, but screw it. It is a really good movie.
Hey, we talked about Atomic Blonde. It's fine.
Yeah.
So, are you trying to say that men can't talk about movies led by women?
Just in case-
Why are you being so sexist, Enzo?
Just in case anyone has any grievances, like, you know what? It's fine. Look, as Joe said, we talk about Atomic Blonde.
No. And so you're so defensive, you know?
Yeah, why do you have to justify reviewing a female-led movie?
Trying to keep yourself, like, you know, neck high. This, like, ocean that you're...
I am not the host anymore. John, you do this.
I love how the man made me sick as well.
I just had to put you in that trap. I had to.
But were you guys excited when this movie was coming out?
As of that time, yes, because DC had a pretty decent track record with Man of Steel and BVS. So when they said that they were making a Wonder Woman movie, especially when we saw her in BVS, I was like, I can't wait for that shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'll watch it in theaters. I don't mind. But yeah, I would say that I was kind of excited for this because they were finally expanding on the DCEU, and I was really happy for that because I'm a DC fanboy. I grew up with that more than Marvel. So yeah, how about you, Seb?
I loved the DCEU back when, like, you know, Warner Brothers had to believe in it. Yep, that's right. You tanked that shit, motherfuckers, and I'm mad at you. I'm real mad at you.
I'm also very mad at you.
I'm super mad at you to this day. Still
No
mad.
pun
Will
intended.
never not be mad. I love the DCEU. I loved Man of Steel, even though the Zod fight went on for too long. I loved BVS, even though some of it was awkward, especially in the theatrical release version of it. In the long run, a lot of it was like, wow. In retrospect, this could have been done better. And then, you know, it's been a mess, and it was still a mess up until this point. Like, we were introduced to Wonder Woman in BVS, which is kind of weird. But she was great in BVS. And I knew Gal was, you know, going above and beyond expectation. Because everyone who found out Gal was Wonder Woman was like, you should have gotten Ronda Rousey or some muscle chick. We should have gotten an MMA fighter. You have any idea how bad Ronda Rousey's acting is? You have any idea how bad, like, the acting of so many other of these people are? Like, I also know that the only thing of note that Gal was in before this was Fast and the Furious. So that was the only thing that made me have down. So I was like, really? The lady who didn't last too long in Fast and the Furious?
The one that fell off the Alfa Romeo?
Like, the one who kind of fell out the car because they did too many donuts? Like, I'm not sure she's got this acting wise, but for the sole reason that we didn't get to see enough of her. But, you know, she proved herself in BVS, and was I hyped for Wonder Woman? For the sole reason that it was building up the DCEU, yes. But could I objectively say that I cared about Wonder Woman's stories? Not that much. I was hyped to see Ares. Because Ares is cool. If you played the Injustice games, Ares is cool.
Yeah.
So I was hyped to see how things worked out here, and they did a movie.
And so,
Well, I think I was looking forward to this movie because when she debuts in BVS, in that scene where she saves Batman, I was like, I am definitely going to see the standalone movie. Yes, please, because that debut still lives in my head rent free. I'm like, that's an amazing way to introduce a character. I want to see what happens next, and I was invested in the DCEU. I love Man of Steel and BVS. Suicide Squad, obviously not so much, but like the rest of it, I'm like, I can't wait to see what DC does differently. And like honestly, from my perspective, I'm like, I feel like I can't wait to have something that's different than the MCU. I hope Warner Brothers sticks with this, and I know the answer now, which is a big no. I'm like, oh, okay, sure, fuck you then.
Also, what kind of got me was like the trailer, knowing the fact that it was set in World War One. I was like, that's cool because back in the day, they didn't really put out a lot of movies that was about the World Wars. You know, the First World War.
You know why?
Why?
That shit had a huge body count, and that war's. Look, I don't want to say this about war, but like between any big war that's ever happened in the world, the most cinematic is World War II.
I mean,
Like you can really make a movie out of World War II.
Yeah.
No, and World War One was significantly different, and like it's ugly. It's like really ugly. So it's hard to make a movie out of that and make people go like, that was entertaining. World War One is more like, difficult, lemon difficult. It's not easy squeezy lemon peasy.
Yeah.
Mostly because most of World War One was a bunch of dudes hoping for the best in trenches. Because machine gun fire everywhere. Because they just discovered how machine guns could work, and they were like, let's just use them all the time. And this was basically World War One. So to have that war, and then Wonder Woman was like, are you sure you want to go to World War One? Because we never really talked about Wonder Woman in World War One in history. At least to my knowledge. If someone who has the knowledge of Wonder Woman, like all throughout, can tell me, to my knowledge, like all of her stories were like at least World War II onwards. Like nuclear family shit, World War II stuff onwards. Because she's like created in the 1930s, if not the 40s. Weirdly enough, by the guy who co-created the polygraph test.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. The guy who created the lie detector was the co-creator of Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Also like BDSM.
And the fact that he has the fucking lasso of truth too. That's kind of funny.
But yeah, like Jomer said, like at least I don't have to rely on Warhorse for my World War One fix. Yeah, like I can watch Wonder Woman.
You can watch the 80s or was it 70s version of All Is Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah, but as we know now, that movie is depressing as hell. But yeah, I was excited for this, and like going to this, since this was leading up to what we thought was a proper Justice League movie. I'm like, all right, there's like the Captain America to the next step is the Avengers. I just didn't know I would have to wait till 2021 to get the proper JL movie, but that's another story. Yeah. But yeah.
You know the thing about the DCEU setup is just like, poor Zack, man. He's just like, you gotta introduce Batman, then Wonder Woman, foreshadow the Justice League, and then you get a Wonder Woman movie before you have to introduce The Flash and Cyborg. Like, you have to get people to get invested in these characters. Also, we're cutting your movie by, like, into less than 2 hours. So you got, like, less than 2 hours to get me into Cyborg, into Flash.
Good luck.
Like, you know how... wait, who's directing again?
This one?
This? Patty
No. The...
Justice League?
Justice League.
Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder, right?
Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon eventually took over, but, like, Zack Snyder. Yeah.
Alright. I love how DC kind of made him that guy who brings up the boulder to the, like, top of the mountain for it to roll back down. Especially with the news of Superman not being Superman. Anyway, we're not talking about that.
Yeah, we start in modern day of Wonder Woman saying how she wanted to save the world, and we go back in time to her childhood and on Themyscira, and it's exactly what you've seen in the comic books, an island full of Amazons training to be the best warriors the world has ever seen.
Wait, I don't remember that part. I don't remember that this goes into a flashback. They saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, so she gets like a photo of them, like the Scots guy, the Native American, her boyfriend,
Yeah.
the French guy. Like, she gets that photo and then she goes into a flashback. She works at the Louvre, by the way. The Louvre.
Yeah. And then we see her wanting to be trained by Robin Wright's Antiope. And you see all these, I think, if I remember correctly, all of the extras are like Olympians, all
bodybuilders,
all accomplished athletes.
Yeah.
And then we get the story of the gods and Ares and Zeus, and it's a pretty good storytelling device of like setting up how the world works with Ares still around. And I like how they tell it by paintings too. I'm like, that's very catered. That's very Zack Snyder-esque. I'm liking how they still have that tone from Zack Snyder's movies.
Yeah, it did look like a Renaissance painting, like when they go into a flashback within a flashback.
And for sure, after this movie, Marvel was like, we so regret firing Patty Jenkins from Dark World, or whatever Thor 2 was supposed to be.
I'm so incredibly pissed that like Patty Jenkins could have done Dark World, and then we didn't get that.
Yep.
Yeah. But
anyway, go on.
A moment of silence, please.
Of what could have been.
A moment of silence for the death of a Dark World.
And if you think that pissed Seb off, that also pissed off Natalie Portman. That's why she said no more Marvel movies until recently.
Yeah. She's dead now.
Yeah.
Boy, did she sign up for the wrong thing, huh? Like, Natalie Portman just can't seem to catch a break. Fuck. Every time Natalie Portman finally gets a leading role in a fantasy superhero thing, they always gotta fuck her up real bad, huh?
What a sickness.
V for Vendetta, she gets tortured by a guy who somehow gaslights her into falling in love with him for some reason. In Star Wars, she dies because she's just really sad about her boyfriend. And now she dies here of the big C.
Poor Natalie.
Franchises just hate Natalie Portman.
Apparently.
You don't want to keep her around for long.
This is what you get for being the reason Leon the Professional died.
Anyway.
I would love to do it. Anyway.
Yeah, and her mom, Diana's mom, is Connie Nielsen from Gladiator fame, and she doesn't want her to train, but Antiope is like, Ares is out there regardless. She has to train for the day when he comes back. It's like, fine, train her 10 times harder, better than any Amazon warrior, better than you, but she can never know who she is. And like, you see who she is when she does this and blows back Antiope like 15 feet. Like, what is she?
Yeah, so she's a nuke.
Yeah. And then
she's the chosen one.
Oh my god.
The girl who lived.
And then after that, they go their separate ways. And then while she's thinking, she sees a plane crash, and that's where we meet Steve Trevor, played by Chris Pine, who is the one Chris who escaped the MCU for this one role.
For now, he's escaped the MCU.
For now.
Wait, who's he gonna be?
Huh?
Wait, who was he supposed to be?
No, what I'm saying is the MCU is gonna be around for a while if things go their way.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they can find something for another white boy named Chris.
Oh, right, forgot about that.
Yeah. Then like Kevin Feige is just gonna be like, this does make me smile.
All the Christmas.
All the Chris.
And then I love the dialogue of like Diana going like, "You're a man," and he's like, "Yeah, this is what we normally look like." Where am I?
Yeah, it's like, oh, she's trying to start to explain, but he's being chased down by the Germans.
Yeah.
I do like it that it's a completely different world. I don't know what magic it was, but they go into fog and then sunlight.
Yeah.
It's kind of jarring.
Yeah, they're like, "My God, what is this?" And then
My God.
And they start going off the attack, And I do like how the Amazons go into battle like they're from obviously a bygone age, or they're relying on bows and arrows and swords, and the cavalry, while the Germans have guns.
Can you imagine the Germans just go like, "Mein Gott," and then Wonder Woman's like, "Yes, exactly. That's what we are."
For some reason, too, their battleship starts sinking. No one's like, "What's happening to our ship?" It starts going, I'm like, did they hit something from Themyscira? They never explain that.
Oh yeah, like they just had arrows.
Yeah.
To be fair, the only both of the vehicles to make it through the whatever's keeping Themyscira hidden, both ended up crashing.
Yeah.
So I guess Themyscira is just like anti-craft shield.
Anti-craft shield, unless you're a little bit smaller.
Actually, here's my conspiracy theory about Themyscira. I think Themyscira is located in the what's this? Bermuda Triangle. It makes sense. Like, if things can just fucking get lost there on average, then maybe it's the Bermuda Triangle.
Maybe, but wasn't Chris Pine's character trying to get from Germany all the way to England?
No, it isn't.
So he had to cross that pond, so it might be there in this world, but that does make sense.
Oh yeah, it might be in the Aegean Sea. But yeah, it is a cool opening battle, and you see
Tourism major.
Yeah.
He knows places. He knows places. He knows. Fuck that.
Digimon Sea, yeah.
Digimon.
Sea. It is a cool opening battle, and you see how impressive the action sets are. Like, I think, in terms of action, we're going to be in good hands. And
yeah.
I love how Steve Trevor sees the shield maneuver where they flip someone while they're jumping to reach the other side of something. Like, that's how he learns it.
Yeah, and it was, sadly, guns got there. Though.
Yeah, unfortunately, Antiope catches a bullet, and they have no medicine for that. They're like, oh no, Antiope.
Yeah, they were mostly focused on combat instead of taking care of each other. But yeah, I mean, I would say some of the choreography for this one was pretty good. A lot of wire work, I will say. Not to my liking, in my opinion. But it's good choreo. I say when choreo shines, it's more in the middle part, of this movie. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. And then they question Steve Trevor, like, why are you wearing their uniform if they're trying to kill you? Like, I can't tell that. Where are you from? I can't tell you that either. And then they get the lasso through it and start interrogating him, and he's like, I'm a spy. We're like, comedy. This is how DC does comedy properly.
Really? Really? This is how they do comedy? Oh, something's bleeding.
Oh, God.
I know you didn't bring me back because you like me. I don't. Who does this face? I don't. Not.
Superman
comes like the pink lines on his cheek.
Superman comes back and Batman's just like, ooh.
We also got a little bit of comedy because women haven't seen a penis in a while.
Yeah, when she's like, what's that? And he's like, my
watch. It's a watch. I was like, ha ha. Okay.
He does tell the backstory of how he got there, where he was in Turkey and steals the notebook from Dr. Poison, who's under General Ludendorff. It's played by Danny Houston from X-Men Origins. Like, thank God, I'm in a good comic book movie now. And he escapes, and that's where he ends up in Themyscira.
Yeah.
Just really happy to be in a decent movie.
Yeah.
I will say the actor of Stryker, playing Ludendorff here.
I don't ever see him playing a bad guy. I mean, a good guy.
Yeah. But I will say, look, his German, general character is very cartoonish.
Yes.
I couldn't take it seriously.
Yeah, there's a scene I want to get to later.
Yeah.
I think there was an intention kasi to make this campier.
I guess so.
Yeah.
It is very camp.
that's actually like, look, I don't think this is the best DC movie by any means. Like, it was hyped up and a lot of people loved it. I don't think it was that great. It was for the reason that, like, it leaned into very 70s, 60s, not 80s, but like 60s, 70s Wonder Woman, which is very campy, and I wanted things to go full modern, and that was not the case here. They definitely borrowed a good amount of stuff from the modern stuff, like those stuff drawn by by Nicholas Scott and Liam Sharp, but not a lot. I think this movie is plagued by how safe it was trying to be, and also how much it was trying to play the nostalgia card. Like you guys say, a good amount of this feels cartoony. It's because they wanted to go the route of making it feel a little campy.
No, yes. As you said, yeah, they tried to play it safe with this movie when they're in the time period. The time period that they're using is a very dark time.
It's a very dark time, but also one we're unfamiliar with. Like, keep that in mind. Like, things might have actually legitimately been, I don't know, weirdly cartoony. Because if you look back at history, people were fucking weird.
I guess.
Like, what we would consider them very fucking strange. And the reason for a lot of wars, it's really overly dramatic. If you look back at history as to why the Reich became what they were, and the things that, like, Archduke Ferdinand's murder and the reasons for that, like, you know, the world was significantly more dramatic at the time, and also handled things in a more over-the-top, dramatizable way.
Yeah.
So you could maybe chalk it up to time period, or chalk it up to the fact that they really wanted to up the camp with this. Like, give us a bit of a feel of the old TV show. Maybe, but, you know, legitimate criticism. I think there are times when this movie feels a little dated, even though it's a 2017 movie.
Yeah. But Steve Trevor does tell Diana about the horrors of World War One. She tells her mom, like, we have to, I have to go out and help protect this world. This is our mission. She's like, well, you're not like the other Amazons. You're built differently. It's like, okay, I guess that's the end of that conversation. But she agrees to help sneak Steve Trevor out and gather the gear, and decides to go with him too. And then she's confronted by her mom, who's like, if you leave, you can never come back. And like, she understands, and like, as they're sailing away, one of the soldiers is like, should you have told her of what she is? And she's like, if I told her, Ares would find her quicker. And then we get another funny conversation of Steve being like, all right, you sleep at that end, I'll sleep on this end. And she's like, do you not sleep with women? He's like, I do, but I just find it more polite if I, and you know what, I will.
Okay. A little bit of awkward dialogue there, but it is kind
good
of funny.
chemistry.
Yeah.
They have good chemistry.
Yeah.
Like, what I will say about this movie and why I think it reached so much appeal is it's very female gaze. Like, especially Chris Pine's character, women love a man who isn't afraid of power and who respects personal space, and he was so much this guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, they had very good chemistry. It felt like you wouldn't question why she loved Steve Trevor eventually. You know, and it was pretty hung up on him for a while. I was actually surprised that they decided to commit to Steve Trevor in World War One, because sometimes Steve Trevor is in the modern day.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's not even like in the military proper. Sometimes he's in the Secret Service. Sometimes he's FBI. So like, I'm semi-surprised that they decided to go with that here, which kind of hints me at the idea that they really did want to go with Batman, Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
For the Justice League universe.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, he was built up very nice. Like, he did a good job of like giving Diana an eye on what the human world is like and
Yeah.
what the war is like. He honestly, I think, carried a good amount of the plot of the movie. I think he carried Gal too.
Yeah.
Like, I think Pine carried Gal through this movie, and I think Steve is actually the best part of the movie.
Yeah. I do love that one dialogue where they get to London. It's like, this is London. I was like, it's horrible. Yeah, it's not for everybody.
I also think that they did a really good job of hinting that like Amazonians are all pretty much bi.
Yeah.
You know, bi if not full on lesbians, because that makes all the sense in the world. That was something that was retconned in comics, I think, shortly before or shortly after the release of the Wonder Woman movie. But like, it doesn't make sense how they're all straight.
Yep.
In a hypothetical sense, like, you've only seen women your entire life and you expect all of them to be heterosexuals? Yeah. DC's weird. DC's weird.
Yeah.
I love the interaction on the street where she's going to like a baby. He's like, no, that one's not made out of clay. Leave it alone.
Okay, this was kind of tasteful jokes. Well, some points they kind of overdid it, but like, where they're like trying to find her outfit, that was kind of nice. But when they get into like the government center, where she's going, you should be ashamed. You're like, generals should be fighting, and then she goes off and going, should be ashamed. I feel like they should have left that as a serious scene, in my opinion.
Are we going to skip through the fact that Steve Trevor's assistant is the best?
Yes.
I do what he tells me to do, and what he says. He's like, oh, from where I'm from, that's called slavery. And she's just like, okay.
I like you.
Also,
she's the best assistant to a supporting character since Darcy Lewis.
I love it that she was like, is this considered armor for modern day women? And it was like, oh no, that's supposed to keep our bellies in. Why do you have to keep your bellies in? Well, you don't have a belly.
You wouldn't know.
I was like, oh, okay.
Also, I love the last outfit because that is an homage to Christopher Reeve's Superman. Especially with the glasses and how it looks. Right.
Ah, that's kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah, and the scene in the alleyway when she's blocking the bullets, again, homage to the original Superman movie, like that Patty Jenkins really likes.
Okay.
You know what would have been really fucking funny? That they could have decided on instead of glasses? They should have given her bangs.
Zoe Deschanel her.
Yeah. Because like, if Superman gets his glasses, I think Wonder Woman should get bangs. Like, I think that would be the thing that would go like, I don't know if Diana Prince is Wonder Woman or not. Can't be sure.
I thought she goes like this.
Yeah, she goes like that, and you're like, hold the fucking phone.
You see Batman just like draw bangs on her face. I was like, oh my god.
It's that skit of like Clark Kent removing the glasses and then putting it on. He's like
He's
where's
trying to
Superman?
shit on Wonder Woman for like saving him for the 100th time. He makes a caricature of her with a giant forehead, and then she's just like, "Wait, you're Diana Prince."
World's greatest detective.
I'm the world's greatest detective.
And then we go back to Ludendorff for a while because Dr. Poison gets the gas right, which is hydrogen based, and Ludendorff has this thing that's, I don't know, like venom, where he sniffs it and he can crack
They
a
never
gun.
explained it.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell is that?
I don't know.
It's like the gas. Is that the gas state of venom before?
I think this is them trying to say, did you know that the Germans were very into meth in the World Wars era? Which is completely true.
Yes.
Not necessarily true for World War One. I'm not sure, but
opiate was a thing.
No, like methamphetamines were like, it was a prescribed drug.
Oh.
I'm not sure about its history in World War One, but in World War Two, supposedly the reason why the Nazis did so well in the start was because they were all hopped up on meth. Like, dude, they were prescribed, like, this is like in their fucking rations and shit. 2 to 3 pills of meth a day.
That would win the war, Chucks.
It would win the start of the war.
They pretty much like Vikings did, like eat this mushroom, you'll fight better.
I think it's a good homage to the Axis powers. I don't know if it's dependence, but definitely abuse and use of drugs. And also a good Dr. Poison's existence is a good hint at the fact that this is also when they started using shit like mustard gas, which was banned by the Geneva Convention so quick because it was so fucked.
Yeah.
How gas worked. The only downside to this is her name is fucking Dr. Poison.
Also, we get a weird scene of when Ludendorff traps the generals. He and Dr. Poison are just like
killing outside. I'm like
what the fuck?
If you could just walk off and just have your evil German voice,
can you just be cool about it?
Happening? Like, okay, fine.
I hate the mask won't protect them. They don't know that. What the hell is that?
That's so stupid.
Right, the evil laugh after this.
Yeah.
The evil laugh. Oh my god. Yeah, wow.
That's why, unfortunately, the movie has gone down for me in retrospect. I'm like, that's a bad take.
That was a very bad thing because that's a real life thing.
Yeah.
It's like going, we just blew up something with a nuke. I'm like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah, can you just be cool and walk away from it? And now we will win the war. I prefer that.
Actually, that is one of my main criticisms about this movie. Is kind of the treatment of, I don't know, German villainy in World War One. World War One was complicated, but I don't like the idea of you making effectively caricatures of these people. I feel like they would have been more calculated than this and less Dr. Evil.
Yep.
Which is definitely what they were. Especially Dr. Poison was very cartoonish. Could have been portrayed more seriously, could have been given a bit more gravity. And later on the reveal of who's actually behind this.
But yeah, going back to the British side, as Jomer said, the scene of there's a woman in Parliament, absurd. That's ridiculous. Get her out. We're like, okay, get the point. And that's where you meet Sir Patrick Morgan, played by David Thewlis, and you meet the one big general who's played by the Game of Thrones actor. Oh, I've seen you. You died this season, I think.
Yeah.
Which Game of Thrones actor?
Yeah, the guy with the mustache.
Yeah, he's the one that Diana was scolding. You should be on the front lines, not issuing orders behind this.
Yeah, general should die with their troops.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And then Steve assembles the team of Charlie, I forgot the other guy, the Dirk, and that's it for now. And then Patrick Morgan's like, I'm not going to stop you. I approve of this mission. Just be discreet. We cannot risk the armistice. That's of utmost importance. But if you say this mission is important to stop General Ludendorff and Dr. Poison, go ahead. And they go off to the front, and that's where they meet Chief. And for brief moments, they don't really shy away from some of the horrors of World War One, because you see people with no arms, no legs, very bad injuries. At least they're respecting the time period and this way.
One of their comrades is has shell shock. That's
PTSD.
Yeah.
And then
very, very Scottish Irish guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was great, by the way. He was great.
Yeah.
That guy was great.
That guy was in Black Hawk Down.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
The guy who went deaf, by the way.
Who's an actor who's really good at freaking the fuck out?
And that was really good acting, where he was having a bad dream, then when he woke up, he's drooling and shit. It was
yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I like what the chief tells Diane. Is why are you here? I'm like, oh, well, I don't have no home. I was taken away by Steve's people. Oh, that's welcome to the real world, Diana.
I also like the fact that this actually might be the most diverse World War II cast. Because a lot of, World War movie cast. A lot of World War movies tend to neglect the fact that the World War was fought alongside of a lot of other people.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Americans. Like, this is a big criticism of like the Saving Private Ryan initial scene. Because their initial siege of Normandy, there were supposed to be some Canadian guys there and some British guys. They were all American. So this movie, having kind of just the kind of using World War One as a prop, right? But they were like Patty Jenkins is attuned enough to how the world worked at this time that she knew that there were more than just a bunch of American white dudes fighting this war.
Yeah.
It's also nice that there was Native American inclusion too.
Where this guy just became a mercenary.
Yeah.
You gotta get by somehow, I guess.
Yeah. And then you see how grim this war is, because you see people begging for their lives, you see civilians fleeing, and Diana's telling Steve, like, we have to help this village. What can we do? He's like, we can do nothing. This entire battalion has been here for a year, and they've barely moved an inch. We can't save everyone. He's like, well, that's not what I'm here to do. And then we get the amazing No Man's Land sequence, where it's like, that alone for me is like a 10 out of 10. Like, this is incredible, especially when she's pinned down by the machine guns and the Germans are doing the tactic of like the cross. That's how they kill a lot of the people, and she's barely holding on, and Steve and the rest are like, we have to help her. We're like, that's an amazing sequence.
I love it when Steve carried a war crime.
Yeah.
He had the trench gun. I was like, wait, that was bad. Wait, hold on. But I guess at that time it wasn't.
World War One?
Yeah, it was bad. Like, the trench gun was so effective that people were like, please don't use that in the trench. Like, it's too much.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, maybe at that time they didn't ban it yet. But yeah, I do like it that when they all started like coming in, they were getting an advantage.
Yeah.
After watching All Is Quiet on the Western Front, I feel bad for the German soldiers. They had to really go up against an Amazonian.
Yeah, I'm like, as if this war isn't hard enough.
Right.
But yeah, we get to the village, and I love the scene when she bursts into the room, and If She Would You starts playing again. You're like, fuck yeah. He just massacres the German troops. Like, they're not standing up. I don't care if she's not stabbing people. They're not getting up anytime soon.
This was really good for you, in my opinion. Sure, a little flashy, but I would say it's really good and it works well. Yeah. Where she would like snap a dude's rifle in half behind her back. I was like, that's...
Yeah.
And she would like jump knee a dude out of a window. Like, that man doesn't have a ribcage no more.
And then she takes on a tank, and the people in the tank are like, she won't. Oh fuck, she's lifting us up. What the hell is happening? And Steve
became the tank when she had to take care of that sniper.
Steve has a skull of steel because he gets like a rifle butt to the head, and he's still walking properly. Like, that guy's not unconscious. Okay, Steve, are you a metahuman by any chance?
Are we gonna neglect the fact that Warner Brothers wanted to cut the No Man's Land scene?
Really?
What?
Yeah, they wanted to cut it. I think his name is Grant Tsuchihara. He was basically the guy behind everything wrong with DC. He wanted to cut it. He thought it would be too much. Kevin Tsuchihara.
He thought it would be too much?
The fuck? He didn't care for it. He thought it didn't make sense.
It's DC.
No,
it's a make-believe world.
This guy's specific DC was... Everything wrong with it was his fault. Everything wrong with it was his fault. Imagine we almost didn't have it. I didn't know you guys didn't know this, but we actually legitimately... Like, they had to fight for the No Man's Land scene.
Yeah, that's news to me. Jesus Christ.
It's the best scene in the movie, and we almost didn't have it.
I mean, he's the one who's tanking DCEU, so I'm not surprised that he didn't want this scene.
I mean, he's fired now.
Good.
He's fired now.
Yeah, I know he's fired.
It's such a shame that it took us this long to, like... It's that one.
I mean, it took pretty long for Warner Brothers to be bought out by Discovery, so... I mean, HBO.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do love the sniper sequence too, where Charlie can shoot and Steve Trevor has to use the maneuver he saw in Themyscira, and that guy is either killed by Diana or the falling bell tower, whichever way he's gone.
Either way, he's just dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like this because again, it's putting more depth into. Charlie is sure everybody's doing fine, but Charlie is the prime example of the victim of this war.
Yeah.
Like nobody wanted to be in. He's there, and now he's affected. And yes, he's a sniper, but he can't do his job because the man has taken a toll.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, sure, he didn't get to shine and show his sniper skills, but he's telling a story nonetheless.
Yeah.
World War One was incredibly bloody. Like, to this day, like World War One, I think still has the most casualties, even as compared to World War Two. Like
Yeah.
World War One was so bad, and morals were so low, and people wanted to not be here so badly that the Germans and the Americans actually called a truce on Christmas.
Yeah, and just play football a bit.
Yeah, and celebrated together for one night. That's how much this war fucked everyone up. Like, no one wanted to do it at some point.
Yeah. This is the war that, if you saw the photo of like the artillery shells forming a mountain,
Yeah.
actually, it's crazy.
Yeah.
There's also this thing where, like, did you know that the average the average number of rounds per kill, released per kill, is like 50,000 to 1.
Fuck.
So, like, these guys, like, the reality of the world wars is, as much as you can dramatize it and make it look really cool, it wasn't. Like, a lot of these guys were exactly like Charlie. Like, people would have what is called frozen trigger finger. They couldn't shoot their guns. They just couldn't find it in them to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why, like, it took so long for them to decide to, like, make a sniper division, because you have to have guys who are willing to take that shot and look the person,
In the
look the
eye.
person they're about to kill. Not necessarily in the eye, but also to contemplate what is going through this scope is gonna be dead once I decide to pull this trigger. Which is just, no one ever tells people just how difficult and jarring that is for a human being to do. And I like that we were given a good amount of that in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we need that kind of representation, that these men that are hailed as heroes didn't feel like that. Most of them didn't fucking feel like that. Your average infantryman was like, ah, the whole time. And, I may have looked like I was making fun of it, but, like, no. That's genuinely how they looked like. These guys were, like, hiding behind covers, not actually being shot, screaming for their fucking moms.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
that's the reality of the World War. And if there's one thing that, like, Wonder Woman as a movie has to fucking be praised for, it's the fact that, like, for the most part, soldiers were portrayed as bitch boys.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be asked to kill each other.
I really wish you were with us in the Quiet in the Western Front review.
I wish I was with you guys for the fucking Saving Private Ryan review.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
No, but yeah, a little history here. Like, if you didn't know, if a man didn't go to World War One, they would be handed a feather. It's a sign of a coward. But knowing the fact of what they go through, I'm for sure, majority of these men would have rather taken that feather.
Yeah.
The thing about war, especially war with, like, where people are, I forgot what the term is. Where you're basically drafted in, where they Mulan you into war, is, you don't actually have a lot of soldiers. You just have a lot of bodies. Like, there's a difference between those two things. Like, if there's one thing that, like, Zack Snyder nailed with 300, or Frank Miller, is that, yes, there is a difference between a lot of bodies and everyone within your battalion being a soldier. Like, it's not necessarily going to be the case that you have people who want to be there. And that is why, the world wars were a fucking mess. And, basically no one had control. And this is what's interesting about Wonder Woman as a concept being portrayed as a heroine in a world war, is that this is actually what they were used for a good amount of time. Like, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman were used as, like, propaganda tools.
Yep.
Like, Captain America specifically used as a propaganda tool, enough that, like, they were getting Captain America books in rations. And, you would have, Batman and Superman saying, like, save your metal and donate it so that we can make bullets. Like, that's shit they were doing. They were, like, encouraging people to buy war bonds and stuff. Like, to have this character do something that she was fundamentally somewhat created for. So, I have my history probably wrong. And someone probably could correct me in the comments. But, like, all of these characters were used as propaganda. And we're actually kind of seeing that happen. And maybe that's also one of the causes for it. Because effectively, we are kind of seeing an American propaganda movie. Portrayed in somewhat a realistic light, but, like, we all wish there was a Wonder Woman or a Superman helping us in the front.
Yeah.
Or helping them in the front. We're not Americans, but, like, conceptually, No Man's Land should maybe have been viably crossed by, like, I don't know, enough armor. Like, if they had enough tanks in, but maybe tanks weren't that much of a thing. And
Too
maybe
expensive.
mortar strikes were a thing.
Yeah.
But, it just tells you, like, how desperately people of this time period would have loved to have a fucking Diana Prince on their side when they were in the fucking trenches. Trench warfare seems to just be the most traumatic thing ever. I just can't praise Wonder Woman, like Patty Jenkins, enough for choosing to go this route with how she portrayed the soldiers.
Yeah. With those amazing words being said, we entered the phase of the movie where it kind of dips a lot.
It's yeah.
There are good moments
Fucking dips.
when it comes to dialogue. Like, I love how the Turk tells Diana, like, I was supposed to be an actor. I'm the wrong caller. That's why I'm here. I'm like, in the movie theater, for some reason that flew over my head, but on Netflix, I'm like, what did he say? Excuse me?
Yeah.
I like the subtle commentary. But Steve calls Sir Patrick. He's like, hey, can we do this? He's like, no, don't you dare interrupt the armistice. You can't sacrifice that. Like, yeah, I'm going through a tunnel. Bye. And then he and Diana do have a sweet moment where he teaches her how people dance. And she's like, what do people do when they don't have war? He's like, they get breakfast, they dance, they go about their daily life. This is what life looks like when we're not in a world war.
That little pocket of happiness. It was nice and like
chemistry. Once again.
Yeah, it's really
Good
good chemistry. It's just it's the third act. It's just I can't take it seriously.
The third act sucked. Third act sucked.
Yeah, Steve steals a car and disguises himself as a German general. I love the dialogue between him and the Turk. It's like, I'm so sorry, I forgot your invitation. It's like, what? And they're just bitching in front of the guy. It's like, you know what? Come on.
I just wish, because the Turk, he advertised himself as a guy who could speak many languages. Why couldn't you do this? Like, why couldn't you teach Chris Pine to speak a little bit of German? Make this seem a little bit more intense as them speaking German, because he is a spy.
Yeah.
I was like, instead of giving him just the accent, I was like, now you made it again, as Seb said, it is supposed to be campy, but for me, I wish it went a different route.
And then Wonder Woman steals the dress, and this is where maybe Jomer's theory about what happened to the woman and the Winter Soldier comes into play. Maybe we should.
To say. He probably watched Wonder Woman and was like, "This is exactly what."
Then I was exactly like Leonardo DiCaprio. I was like, "Say that's what she did."
That woman died. A building collapsed on her, man. Like, she was just trying to go to work.
Now that German woman over there, eaten by wolves.
And then the whole inside the building is just Steve going, Diana, no, Diana, yeah, what are you
Yes.
doing?
And him trying to flirt with a German scientist who's like, oh, fire, philanthropy.
Are we all gonna forget the fact that this movie is basically, finding Ares?
Yeah.
Like he spends half of it going, "Where's Ares?
Where's Ares?
Where's Ares? Where's Ares? Where's my son? Have you seen my son?"
General Ludendorff does find a weapon. Diana's horrified. Like, you prevented me from killing Ares. You caused all this. And she runs out to confront him, and Steve follows her. And then she confronts the general. And then he does take the... I'll just call it Venom as gas. And then they do fight. And then he ends up on the roof because of her. Because he's hiding. And she starts blabbering like, I am Diana Prince. Daughter of... what's the mom's name? Hippolyta. And you will die right now. And the poor guy's like, what the fuck are you saying? What is all this blabber?
The girl just went, my name is Inigo Montoya.
Prepare to die. I think that'd be something.
Prepare to die.
I think that'd be something for the poor guy because he's going, daughter of who? You're from where?
And so what? No, well, I guess in her head she thought this is Ares.
Yeah. But he doesn't know that. He's just going, why is this woman talking to me this way? What did I ever do to you?
Yeah, but she doesn't know that.
I do like the dialogue of her going to Steve, like, why isn't the war stopping? It's supposed to stop. And he's like, I wish I could tell you it was one man to blame. I wish, but maybe this is just humanity as it is.
I wish that was that.
I kind of wish the movie ended there. We're just like, alright, I agree with you. I will
Yeah,
help you
where like
end
the
this."
shell goes to the village that they were in, that gassed everybody.
And Diana's like, yeah, you're right. I will help you stop this aircraft. No, we go another direction where Sir Patrick is Ares. Like, I don't mind the concept like the devil whispering in your ear. Like, that makes sense. That you're not all Spartaned up. Whoa, they see it, you're like, what the fuck is that supposed to be?
Yeah, like okay, that's an okay concept. That Ares is the one just whispering to people to start a war.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's just
And then we go to the average superhero bullshit.
yeah, where like Ares makes an armor out of tinfoil and just it doesn't look great.
Love how Charlie's...
Ares is supposed to be one of the most imposing characters in DC. Sure, his powers are dependent on how much conflict is going around, but really, Ares' armor made of scrap metal from World War I vehicles? Trash baby Ares? Played by
I don't like it that we got to see his face
Professor
too.
Lupin. It's Professor Lupin in trash.
Eat chocolate, Diana. You'll feel better.
I love Charlie being like, aren't we going to do something about it? And Steve's like, what are we supposed to do? Those are two superheroes. What are we supposed to do? Shoot at them? No, we're taking out the plane. Charlie.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we get the fight, and then Steve, which was an emotional moment, I will say. That shit was hard, where he's trying to talk to her, but she's like her ears are ringing.
I have a concussion.
Yeah, and then we do find out what he actually said later on. That's kind of nice.
Also, I do like
We had more time.
Yeah, and he gives her a watch. I was like, oh, that hurt because the chemistry between them was so good.
I can save today, you can save tomorrow.
You're right.
Also love
Can you
the
imagine when he said, "I wish we had more time," gives her the watch, and then runs away?
I'm sorry.
He's just running away. I kill myself in more ways than one, I guess.
He's like, I kill myself.
I mean,
He's like pulling a lever.
speaking of which, I do like how he's like, I'm gonna do this, and just takes a moment to be like, alright, okay, and then commits.
Yeah. Oh God. Again, such a waste.
And then Wonder Woman
Especially how this ends is such a.
Wonder Woman enters Spartan Rage from God of War 2018, apparently. And then Ares there's a Palpatine's that killed Dr. Poison. Do it. And she left an entire tank and she's about to, but she's like, no, I won't do it because of the power of love. Like, I wish. Please stop it. It doesn't work in Interstellar. It doesn't work here. And then you see David Thewlis overacting, being like, I will kill you. Like, can you make this stop before it gets any worse, please?
Yeah, you know, you don't need to make your villains great.
Yeah.
You have them just quiet and imposing. That's it. Also, the little mustache I couldn't take.
Yeah.
Like you see in between the armor, you just see a little mustache. I was like, that's kind of cute.
And then she goes, not Shazam, and then zaps him.
Wakanda forever. And just like I guess.
Dude, no, you guys are both wrong. It was a Care Bear stare.
Power of love.
She's using the power of love to defeat Ares. Ka-ching's Care Bear stare.
Also, the scene where she's like destroying like tanks and shit while she's running on a treadmill was very janky.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, in retrospective, this isn't great. This really isn't.
Yeah. I had like a whole thought process in my head before this review. I was like, you know what? Man of Steel, BVS, and then Wonder Woman. I mean, it's still there, but it's like, what?
I would say, well, if you're talking standalone, yeah, then by default, that's my order I'm going. But like, the whole spectrum of DC stuff is like Man of Steel, Justice League, and then BVS. And then that's my order.
Yeah. It's such a shame because this movie did have a lot of good material to work out of. Especially what we said where Steve is like, I really wish it was just one guy, and I wish they committed to it. Where, yes, killing Ares wouldn't stop it. Killing Ares isn't like a hive mind and everybody stopped becoming violent.
Yeah.
Like, no. The war still continued. It would be funny if that scene ended at 11:11.
Oh god.
I would be like, that's.
Oh wait, we do get to stop. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's not how World War One ended, by the way.
Yeah. And then we go back to London. People are celebrating, but it's bittersweet because there's like a memoriam to Steve Trevor. And then we go back to present day, and then Wonder Woman not flies because she learns how to. Well, she does fly. She does learn that in the second movie, which is another rant for another day. Yeah, I don't know how you.
I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah. I just want to ask with these words, and you can guess our feelings because of the last act of this movie. What would you rate this?
Like, okay. After hearing what we had to say, I am sorry, I have to give it a 5.
Wow.
Because, okay, the only good part here is the middle act where she goes through the trench and the no man's land and then fights through, and then they have that little quiet moment. I wish the whole movie had that theme all throughout, where war is grim, you can't stop everybody, and we can't just blame one person. That would have been such a beautiful message if they continued it. The first act was an okay first act. Yes, we got a little bit of funny ha-has, but it's a good setup. Then the third act came, and I was like, you can't do that with like one okay first act, horrible third act, and that little pocket of that was really good. That's what carried it to 5. That one little act, and they did a great job with the chemistry between Steve and Gal. Gal, I would say, I can't see. Like when I think of Wonder Woman, it's Gal. She did an amazing job playing as Gal. Sorry, playing as Wonder Woman. So.
She played herself.
Playing herself. But the villain, horrible. The villains were horrible. The supporting cast was also a pretty good carry, I will say. But other than that, it just fell apart once we got to that thing. Sad death scene though for Steve. I was
Yeah.
gonna say Rogers.
He got
Yeah.
icicled. He got the reverse of icicles.
He got mustard gassed while it blew. But anyway, yeah. How about you guys?
You know what? I was coming here. I was like, maybe a 7. No, I'll give it a 6. Like as you said, the chemistry between Gal and Chris Pine is why I watched this movie. So are the action scenes and like the homages to the original Superman, and for the most part, the supporting cast are not really that developed, but they do fill in the roles of like, this is your purpose. You're the comic relief. You're the commentary on this, and you're this, and you do those roles well. Especially at the Candy. That's your name, right? Secretary.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think.
But General Ludendorff, Dr. Poison, and especially Ares are all laughably horrible villains. And unfortunately, for this franchise, the villains just go worse after this. So, and it's, everything has to do with the writing and how you set things up. Because if you can't land this properly, like then you just wasted the first 2 acts. And I do like those first 2 acts. It's like it's like Captain America, the first Avenger, all over again, but a bit worse with the words and the things you were setting up. I thought you were going to end in a much more unconventional way, but you decided to go to the average, this is your superhero movie way of ending. Like, okay.
Yeah, one kill switch ends the bad thing.
Yeah. It's like, this is like a horrible quick time event, only that I'm not in control. I don't like this, but yeah, 6 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. How about yourself?
This is also kind of getting lost in the time period it was in. This is the first time they've really, put a woman on the face of a franchise. And I think at a time where this would have been released during, MCU Phase 1, this movie would have been considered pretty nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people would have rated it at the same level as, like, Thor 1.
Yeah.
Thor had its problems, like the first Thor had its problems, but like no one hated it. I personally didn't like it for the sole reason that they simplified a very complicated situation.
Yeah.
Like by the end. And I believe that like if a movie doesn't end well, then the movie isn't good. How they portrayed the protagonist was pretty perfect. The protagonist's supporting cast was also really solid. I liked them. Everything they were against, though, just felt unrealistically evil. Like, I believe that they should have given more nuance to the bad guys, too. I think she should have never directly fought Ares.
Mm-hmm.
And, I didn't want the big bad fight that we got. And we got it. And Ares is dead, which is a problem. Because now how do you justify Vietnam and World War II?
Yeah,
Within
that's
the
what,
context of this.
yeah.
Because if she just pieces out this whole time, she's an asshole.
Mm.
Like, yeah, what's your excuse? Steve Rogers is frozen. What's your reason?
Like,
and you can't go home.
I tried to help humanity, then they killed my boyfriend. No. No more help, humanity.
And it's just very petty.
It's really weird, the implications of the repercussions of this movie. Because now it just makes humanity look evil, which it probably the fuck is, but like, now having a way to blame that on Ares, and then knowing World War II occurs later on, not that much later either, so, like, it's just like, well, you really should have handled like the Ares situation a lot more carefully than you did. Yeah, I don't want to, because it's a good, if I had a daughter, I would have her watch Wonder Woman.
Same.
I think Wonder Woman is a good character to empower women, adults, and little girls alike. But in terms of just the story and how things could have been executed and how one-dimensional they made so many characters that should have been multi-dimensional, it is a 6. it's definitely a 6.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that, but it is a 6.
Yeah. It's funny how we see movies in retrospect. We're like, yeah, that's not the best.
You know, because I was enjoying it when I was watching it. I was
Actually,
like,
I've always not liked Wonder Woman that much. Like, even when I watched it the first time, I was like, this movie is plagued by its extreme lack of wanting to do something spectacular. Like, this, like I said, that because the movie wanted to make sure that no one would hate it, it took no risks. So it's plagued by its own need to not create any extreme opinions about it, and that is reflected in how we see this movie during this ratings part, where because it was so not exceptional, we just don't see it as that.
Yeah.
We don't see it as anything particularly special. So, yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, and
It's
then
sad.
and then Marvel saw this and they're like, we can do our own standalone female superhero movies too, right? And then you see the results. You're like, oh boy, like Black Widow. Like, did you just regurgitate that? You're like, here's a fucking Black Widow movie.
right? Like, after we've killed her, like, there you go.
Yeah.
Brush your teeth. Boom, orange juice.
But yeah, I asked this in our Winter Soldier video, but I'll ask this here too. What do you feel is the state of the current DCEU, if you can even call it that at this point?
At this point, after the news with Henry Cavill, I kind of stopped caring. I still like Superman, I still like Batman, but the DCEU is just so messy that I'm like, hey, I'll just wait for somebody to say, hey, if I need something good, I'll give it a try. But I'm not gonna go out of my way to like, oh, I'm gonna watch a Flash movie. Sorry.
I forgot that existed. And the
I mean,
trailer's coming out.
if there's any fucking movie I'm contemplating, definitely not fucking watching, it's The Flash. I guarantee you that shit. Oh my god.
Yeah, the fact that they kicked out Henry Cavill
Cavill?
made him think that he had a job, and then kept Ezra Miller. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, like, as the time of this recording, the trailer for Shazam 2 came out, and I'm just like, I don't care.
I really don't care as well. I am waiting for the Warhammer 40K thing to happen.
It's funny too, because
That's what I'm excited for.
what they're banking on right now is 1, the Batman 2, and 2, Joker 2. Like, 2 characters that usually have something to do with each other, that are in 2 different universes. You're like, yeah, this will make our universe more coherent, or incoherent, more incoherent.
I mean,
That's
to be fair, I think what I think the DCEU does, what Warner Brothers and DC does really well, is they are very good at creating things that aren't supposed to line up with each other. And this isn't an insult. I'm saying that, like, they effectively created a DC Black Label already, like a subset of their universe that doesn't coincide with their flagship, but makes them flagship levels of money. But it's what they would enter into the Oscars, and the DCU would be what they would be like. This is for everybody, and this is for the artsy fucks. Which is what Joker and the Batman is. Like, we're not getting our Pats as the DCU's Batman. Like, we already know that. And Joaquin Phoenix will never fucking be a DCU Joker. He's an art house Joker.
yes.
Like, he's not a superhero movie Joker. And I think we can come to accept that now. What DC, like, if we're talking about what I think of the state of DC, is I think DC is headed in a... James Gunn made arguably the best DC movie.
Suicide Squad.
No
Suicide Squad.
one has complaints about the Suicide Squad. Like, that's safe to say. Like, you didn't hate it. I guarantee you that, like, none of us hated it. But the problem is we're in an emotional state. Like, we wanted Henry Cavill to come back, but they want a young Superman, which is fair. And they're rebooting the whole thing. I don't completely understand why they're going with someone who's as big of a liability as Ezra Miller is. But besides the fact that they kept a bad person in, I actually think the DCU is probably going to head in a good direction. But we're all going to be too heartbroken to see that that's the case.
Yeah.
I guess.
Objectively, it's probably going to turn out really good. But because of the state of where it is now, because of the fact that we don't know what it looks like at the very least, I'm looking forward to it because I know James has plans for Deathstroke.
Yeah.
That's a personal thing to me. That has nothing to do with the DCU. I just know that he has plans for Deathstroke and that he had plans for him in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But then they were like, let's not pull the trigger with this guy yet. Which is viable because how the fuck are you going to capture that guy and have him join the Suicide Squad? But in terms of just the DCU, it's probably going to turn out okay. We just we've been fatigued.
Yep.
And this is Warner Brothers' own fault. They've gotten us to the point where we've been screaming and screaming, falling on deaf ears. No one listened to us. They rebooted the whole thing and took out everything we liked from it. So, by the time we get there, we're gonna probably be walking into the cinemas completely exhausted.
Yep.
Like, dragging our knuckles across the floor, just going like, fuck. It's another fucking DC movie. I wonder if, I don't know, fucking Austin Butler's Superman is gonna do well or some shit. Like,
oh, is he rumored?
No, I mean, like, there are some rumors that they might be going with him, but it's just like, in reality, do we still care? Like, if we're really thinking about it, like, unless they release something that really hypes us, none of us really care.
But I will say, for the honest, like what Drummer says, like I hope maybe midway through the Flash movie or by the end, he has a face change and it's Grant Gustin. I'm like, yeah, I'm comfortable with you. Thank God.
It's
but
actually
yeah,
viable.
Yeah,
that's actually viable because like, are you gonna cut us back in, or are you?
Yeah,
just gonna...
we're rolling for this part.
Okay. All right, so the thing about the Flash movie that could maybe turn it around for people, if it's really good, then it is. But like, one thing that happens in Flashpoint, which is this called Flashpoint?
I'm not sure if it's officially Flashpoint, but they're treating it as so.
If they're treating it as Flashpoint, the thing about Flashpoint is even when Flash comes back from the Flashpoint universe, the universe isn't the same. This is actually where Zack Snyder's half of the DCU was supposed to end. It was supposed to be the movies he was lined up for, leading up to basically everyone dying. And Flashpoint will end it by Ezra Miller's Flash goes to do the time shit, and then he comes back and it's not the same. Everyone's younger. Like, everyone's younger, at least 5 years younger. And the universe is completely different. Everyone even wears different suits. So this was supposed to be how it was gonna end. And hell, Flash could be a different actor by the time he comes back. We never fucking know. Maybe he'll look into the mirror and just see he's suddenly Grant Gustin or some shit.
He looks in the mirror like, we are the Flash. Like, you know what? I'll let it slide.
God. The Flash's pronouns are now they, them because they're multiple motherfuckers. No, but it's you asking the question of how we feel about the current state of the DCU is exhausting. Like, this movie review is somewhat exhausting, for the reason that, like, it's a retrospective on something that effectively no longer exists. I know Gal's out.
Yep.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, Gal's out, right? So, like, this doesn't matter for the DCU anymore. We're just reviewing a movie that came out, right?
Yeah.
So this has no fucking bearing. This is like the opposite of the last review we did with each other.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, if any of our audience members has any takeaway of this, of us talking about the future of DCU, is that us as geeks and degenerates might skip on the Flash movie or Blue Beetle movie because it is exhausting.
Blue Beetle, I actually might check out. Blue Beetle seems interesting, especially if they decide Black Beetle should be the villain, because Black Beetle's dope. Anyone who's seen Young Justice, Black Beetle's dope.
Yeah, and it's the kid from Cobra Kai.
Yep.
Yeah, broken back again. DCU is probably headed in a good direction, but you have exhausted us. Like Warner Brothers, if you're fucking listening, and we all know you're not. You guys have exhausted your audience, and if the DC universe can't bounce back from this, it's your fault.
Yes.
It's extremely your fault. You pulled too many. You hesitated to pull too many triggers. You also did not listen to what your audience wants. It could have been a simple thing, where you just gave us what we want, and stand the fuck back.
Yeah.
Executives thinking they knew more than us, or more than the people who would fucking pay for this shit. Like, we don't have the highest of standards. We just want things to be the way that we know it to be, to a degree. We want it to feel familiar, and we want it to be fun, and you didn't make any of this shit fun.
Yeah.
So if the DCU can't bounce back, if the DCU has no future even after James Gunn, then we know who to blame. We tried, and we've been probably trying for almost 10 years now. Like, at least the Marvel guys had gripes. Us, we were just tortured. Like
Gave false hope.
Yeah. We were desperately hoping for something good, then continuously shit on.
Yeah.
And that hurts, because all we wanted to do was give these guys money. All we wanted to do was be really happy with these movies, and it's like they don't want us to be. And again, reiterating, we're probably headed in a good direction. In that voice tone.
Yeah.
We're probably headed in a good place.
But yeah.
But very exhausting. But yeah, take us home.
Yeah, like as I said for the last one, like we'll probably do a DCU podcast for Spotify when we're obviously re-energized and are mentally able to. But yeah, that's been our video on Wonder Woman 2017. If you want to find more of us on YouTube, at least please like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We also have a Facebook, Spotify, and TikTok, all under the same name. TikTok to see our best, funniest, and I guess most depressive moments if you want us to upload that stuff. Spotify to hear us on the go. Facebook to see us react to trailers, though not any of the DCU stuff, maybe, who knows. And stream games. Individually, you can find me again, Galvus1995 on Twitter. How about you guys?
You can find me at JomGOM _on Instagram. That is my. How about you, Seb?
You can find me on Instagram at SebTheHarmacist. Yeah, where I post memes about working out.
Yeah.
And you can find me on Twitter being really cringe about fanfics and anime. At the same handle, SebTheHarmacist.
Yeah. And well, our next lineup is a bit more joyous because it is Valentine's, so it's all about finding love. And the next lineup after that is something that Jom here created, where it's about finding yourself. Am I right?
Yes. For the lonely folk out there on Valentine's Day, I'm not leaving you out to dry.
Yes.
I got you.
Yes.
It's okay to be alone and work on yourself. I got you.
But yeah, stay tuned for that. As for now, we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.